future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday to all of our listeners worldwide. Welcome to another edition of Focus with Ron Frieson. I'm your host, Mr. Ron Frieson. To my left, I have my co-host and my brother, Mr. Woody Wilson.
What's up? What's up?
Hey.
Hillary, man.
Woo. Hey, the best way to put this is that everything starts with, remember Anthony Weiner, guys?
Yes.
Anthony Weiner. So I'm sure the elephant in the room, this has been such a circus, such a roller coaster ride of a presidential campaign. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite this, if not exciting, let's say tragic or drama-filled. It's always something, some twist and turn.
Definitely keeps your attention.
Oh, my God. Well, anyway, the latest, as I'm sure we all know, the FBI, they were investigating former Congressman Anthony Weiner because he had been allegedly sexting with underage girls.
Everybody.
And during this investigation, they were checking the computers and things of that sort of these different electronic devices and came across some emails. Well, it just so happens that Anthony Weiner's wife is Uma Abedin, who's who's Hillary Clinton's closest aide and advisor.
Yes.
She's sometimes called Clinton's other daughter. Very close. So in looking at some of these emails investigating her husband, Anthony Weiner, they came across some emails that could pertain to this investigation in regards to classified information and how it was handled for our presidential candidate in Hillary Clinton. So in full disclosure, what happened was that the FBI let the congressional leadership know that they found other emails that they're going to have to investigate in their process of due diligence. They didn't say that they found anything that shows and proves that she mishandled classified information. What they said was that they found emails that were pertaining to this investigation that they should look at. So, but obviously the key word here is investigation.
Right.
It doesn't say
a
they're
new
going to
investigation.
Exactly. Well, no, not a new investigation.
Yep.
What it was is that let's just say that that I was exonerated or something, but you didn't have all the evidence before you decided to exonerate me. So new evidence came to light. So now you have to look at that evidence to see whether or not my exoneration should still stand. So basically what they did, they just found more information that they didn't have before because it was on Uma Abedin's devices and things of that sort. So they're going to look at that information, and if after looking at that information, there's nothing that's new that could change their mind about not moving forward with criminal investigations or criminal prosecution, then they
Didn't they close the last investigation?
Yeah, but that's what I'm telling you.
So this is a new investigation.
No, it's not a new investigation. It's all pertaining to the old thing. It's
pertaining to the same thing, but they're looking at it again. It's okay.
No, they're not looking at it again. They're looking at this stuff for the first time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
New, right?
No. They're looking at it's all pertaining to handling classified information. And they said they would not advise prosecutors to go forward because they wouldn't have a case. But that was based on all the information they have in hand in regards to that.
Right.
So now they said, okay, no, but there are some stuff that we haven't seen before. So regarding to the same charges, we're just going to go ahead and take a look at it. And if nothing changes, it's going to stand pat. But the problem is that, number one, you have that key word, which is investigation. And then number two is that they can't do it before the election. So now that looming word of investigation, with us, because of the way media is and the way we buy into spin and all that stuff, just the simple term investigation automatically means in some people's mind that there's been wrongdoing. Just the simple term, if you're being investigated, is almost like you're guilty of something, because if you're not guilty of anything, then why you're being investigated? So just the simple term of the word investigation, without all the information coming out so close to an election, it is dangerous. So what the Hillary Clinton campaign is asking, they're asking for the FBI to come out and say everything and give their determination, because they understand that just by saying you're investigating, that will automatically cast a cloud on you. So even Donald Trump said that they're finally reopening an investigation, and they're not reopening anything. This is just stuff that they hadn't looked at before pertaining to the same matter, if that makes sense. Get it?
Yeah, I got it. So basically, they're investigating Anthony Weiner because of his sexting, and they come across some emails that were going back and forth between Uma Aberdeen, which is Anthony Weiner's wife, and Hillary Clinton's almost second daughter, first lieutenant, let's say. So these emails have brought up some reason to investigate, to see what's going on. So it may be just checking the boxes to make sure.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, they're just trying to check the boxes to make sure that there's no need to bring up new charges or reinvestigate or whatever, open the case again. So, but everyone's in a panic right now. But it doesn't matter. I think people have made up their mind. I don't think this is going to change anyone's mind at this point, as opposed to in terms of who they're going to vote.
See, and that's where I disagree a little bit, because for the most part I agree with what you're saying, but I disagree in the fact that this, for those swing voters, for those voters who are just off put by Donald Trump but would normally vote Republican, because Donald Trump's had a lot of Republicans that said they're not going to vote for him because they think that he's just a wild card and he's a loose cannon, which I agree. But they don't really like Hillary at all. But they would say to themselves, okay, which is the less of two evils? But as soon as the election is coming up, if you keep hearing bad stuff about Hillary, that can make them change their minds. That's why I agree with the Hillary Clinton campaign. If they know that they haven't done anything wrong, they push for the FBI to go ahead and, before the election, get all of the information out there so they can say, okay, we've looked at this other batch of emails that have come through this Uma Aberdeen's devices, and we still conclude, after looking at this new information, that the determination we made back in July, whenever it was, it still stands. She did nothing that would merit any sort of criminal prosecution, and that way people can move forward.
Yeah, if that's the case, I mean, if they look at it and say there's nothing there, they should do it quick, fast, in a hurry just to kind of squash it. But if there is something there, I mean, by the time they investigate and have her speak before Congress, and, the election will be over and things will happen. So if I was Kane, I'd be sitting down just kind of rubbing my hands together, be prepared to potentially become the president, because they're going to try to get her out of there if they find anything in these emails. And that's fast, and that's fast forwarding. But it's to be of concern. But like I said, folks, they're just checking boxes to make sure that they didn't miss anything. But that goes to show you, again, that they were using those private servers, shooting emails back and forth. And then Uma left her husband, right? She left.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if she's divorced him when they're separated. I'm not sure. Usually divorces take some time, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's not like he hasn't given her ample reason.
He should have left him long time ago.
This dude he's a different type of creepy.
Because he got caught twice, right?
Yeah, and pictures. I mean,
naked,
pictures,
like he's totally butt naked. Sending pictures to.
He's not to her level in regards to knowing how to act in that regards.
Well, who knows? They might have had some agreement before they got married. There you go. Maybe it's just all coming out now.
Now the thing is that one of the reasons why the Republicans are really honing in on this whole new, what they call investigation, which is really not an investigation, but this is what they're going to label it. It's because they are concerned that because of Trump's poll numbers and how they've been diving, they're concerned that this is going to affect the down ticket races, the races in the Senate, because they're concerned, very, very much so concerned about losing the Senate. They're not as concerned, but they do have a little bit of a headache in regards to the House of Representatives.
Who are we talking about right now?
I'm talking about the Republicans.
Okay.
Yeah. So
they're very concerned.
They're concerned because Trump's poll numbers have been going in the toilet, and they're thinking that he's going to take the entire election down ticket with him. So everyone else running for Congress underneath the Republican Party, they would be, tossed out of office just because their top of the ticket, which is Donald Trump, is so unpopular. So the fact that this comes up about Hillary, this gives them breath. It gives them life that they can go ahead and be anti-Hillary as opposed to trying to defend Trump, and then maybe they can hold on to their seats in Congress, especially in the Senate. And they may be right. But this is another reason why.
Well, it could fire up the base a little bit to get out there and vote for their senators because they know they're going to lose the presidency. So if Democrats don't continue to follow suit in terms of voting for their local officials, state and local officials, then we're going to be at a deadlock again in terms of Congress and being able to make anything happen.
Well,
we talked about how important the local voting
exactly
is.
Yeah. So to go back to this really quickly, the thing is that Donald Trump is so hugely polarizing, and Hillary Clinton is too. So it's a matter of which one has the biggest negatives next to their name, and that seems like the person with the largest amount of negatives next to the name, that's the one that's going to lose because neither one of them have very many positives. So, and closer you get to the election, if Hillary keeps throwing these negatives up there and having at the front of people's minds, and it all feeds into that narrative about whether or not the Clintons are corrupt and all. And I don't think they're corrupt. I think they're opportunists. I think they're definitely opportunists, and they'll try to find ways to try to, within the law, they may walk right up to the edge, but they won't cross that line. You remember what the definition of is. It was a Bill Clinton.
The definition of is.
Yeah, you remember that famous Clinton line?
No, what was that?
Okay, when Clinton was testifying before the Monica Lewinsky trial, they said something about are you having, or is it true that you are having sexual relations with, and he said, no, it depends on what the definition of is. That was one of the things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they very technical. They would be, so they'll work within the confines of the law, even though they may walk up to the edge. So you can accuse Hillary of being an opportunist. You can accuse her of a lot of things. But one of the things that that really concern me is that all of this stuff is coming out now. 11 days or so before the election.
Yeah, listen, though, I think Trump has had far worse incidents come out about him throughout the campaign. We've been talking about Hillary Clinton's emails for the longest time. So this is no new news. I don't think it's a gotcha moment. I think, like I said, everyone has made up their mind. If you're walking the fence, you may lean towards Trump, even though they are two completely different candidates. I don't even understand anyone on the fence, how they could be on the fence, because they're night and day candidates.
You know how I can? It's because of the narrative. The narrative is this. We all know that the book is usually better than the movie because you get your imagination involved with the book. So what they want to do, and when I say they, I mean many in the Republican Party, they form a narrative around the Clintons, a cloud, a mythology of corruption, and like they're just walking around here like Don Corleone. They have this image of the Clintons that they've put out there, and they've nurtured that for years. They've nurtured it. They said this, that, and the other. So the fact is that these 30,000 emails they said that came up missing, these emails could actually be nothing. But the fact is that what they'll bring up, they say, well, we don't know. They'll keep the question looming, because in keeping the question looming, it keeps the air of suspicion out there just because it's there, or the simple fact of the number of emails. Now, between you and I, when we email each other, if we look back over our email stream, we could be not talking about anything, but if I go and delete our conversation, within that simple email stream, there may be 40 or 50 emails back and forth, some little stuff, but we're not saying anything. And then for two, it's 40 or 50 emails. So it looks like, wow, 40 or 50 emails. What do they say? What could they be? It's that whole speculative, that suspicion, that cloud of darkness that they try to paint the Clintons with. And it's partially the Clintons' fault. In many ways, it's Clinton's fault. I just wish in the very beginning that Hillary would have come out and just just admitted that she's shell shocked, that she suffers from PTSD because she's been in the spotlight for so long. She's been under so much scrutiny for the past 30 or 40 years that she's to the point now where she wants to have privacy above none other because she has so many enemies out there. So she feels the need to have her own private servers.
And,
Feels
and it's not a new practice. She is not the only one has used private servers. Congressmen use private servers. Past secretaries of state have used private servers. So this is nothing new. It's just something that she got caught doing. Now, here's the real deal, folks. Public service is a thankless job. You don't make much money. But after you establish yourself in the political arena and you start, and Bill Clinton's retired, of course, there's ways that you can make money based on some of your past experiences, i.e. President of the United States of America. You leverage that into income for you and your family. It's been done over the years. And there's a fine line, like you said, Ron, there's a fine line between doing it legally and illegally. And I think what popped up recently was that I think Bill Clinton mingled some funds with the foundation, which is causing a red flag. That's another issue.
We're going to get to that in a quick second. That's a good point, Woody, and we're going to segue to that. But to go back to this, what you were saying about this, at least with Hillary, remember, I always say this on the show, and I mean this, and I'm speaking just for me now. We are not sheep. The people that listen to this show, they're educated people, they're sophisticated people, and we can see behind things, and we're not sheep. So that means that we don't follow blindly. Where there is fault, we will point out fault. Where there is blame, we will point out blame. Just, I'm a true President Obama fan, but that doesn't mean I agree with everything he's ever done. I don't agree with everything my mom's ever done, and it's my mother, and there's no one on this planet I love more than her. So,
Mom, you can do no wrong in my eyes. Mom.
So the point is this: is that you can't be blind sheep, because when you're a blind sheep, that's what people in power depend on, because they think that because they're popular or because you agree with one or two of their points, they can get away with anything and you won't hold them accountable. It's our responsibility as an educated populace to keep our public officials accountable.
Right.
So now, in regards to the Clintons, they've been under a massive amount of scrutiny for decades. Now, I do believe with the baked-in enemies that they've developed over the years, if it was anything truly criminal, then they would be locked up. So the fact that over 30 or 40 years, if you haven't come up with anything and you have, and remember, some of their enemies are very powerful. They have money, they have power, they have influence. And if with all that money, power, influence, if you still haven't been able to find anything that can get them locked up, I mean, truly, other than some little side issue like whether or not he was sleeping. Remember, the whole thing about Monica Lewinsky started with Whitewater, whether or not they had some sort of illegal real estate deal, and it turns out they didn't have anything that wasn't illegal at all. Oh, but they found out the sexual scandal, so they just jumped on the sexual scandal, and they try to turn up every rock until they find something.
Illegal fellatio.
Yeah. So with all that being said, of course you're going to find something on Hillary, but that's when I go back to the point where Hillary needs to just, in my opinion, she needs to just own it. In regards to the emails, in regards to the servers, she's been. I'm even with me. You've had people go through your things. If you've been hacked before, it makes you shell shocked and you're paranoid. Hillary's paranoid. She fights for her privacy in a certain extent, to a certain extent. And maybe that's why she had the private server, because even when she said Colin Powell and some of these other guys had their own server, it wasn't like this. Hers is a little bit different. What they did was that they used separate private email accounts. That's a whole different thing than using a private server. So Colin Powell, I think he used an AOL account or something.
Yeah, but a private server gives you more security. So she, in thinking, instead of getting an AOL account, I'll have even more security by having my own private server. So I think that was the thought behind that. But
yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
But the point is that we can't lose sight of the forest for the trees, or whichever way. Did I say that right, or did I George W. Bush that?
Yeah, no, you got it.
Yeah. So that means that don't get caught up in the hoopla and sensation of
The
it.
hype. Like, it's
Look
not a
at
big,
to
oh,
what-
no.
Yeah,
no,
so
man.
let's just say, what would be the worst thing that could come out of the Hillary Clinton?
The worst
emails?
thing that could come out of this is that she was doing some type of foreign negotiation, taking money from other countries
Exactly.
or giving them secrets, some espionage. That would be, okay, you know what, you're done. Okay, I think the country would absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
But if she's classified documents, you're emailing classified documents, you've got your own private server, you have a server because you think it's secure, and you want to send emails from a separate email account, which goes through your server. I mean, if you sent some classified documents, which we found out that she sent a few, okay, listen, bad move. Okay, slap her hand. Let's move on. I don't think. But if we find within those emails there's something, if there's a red flag, then that's a whole nother story.
One of the things when you have powerful political enemies, they're not going to say bad move and allow you to move on, because your
No, you have
demise
enemies.
is their gain. So the demise on this end is if Hillary sent classified information. It doesn't mean, even though, okay, let's just say it's a message that came from the president, and the president said, have a great lunch today with the king of Saudi Arabia. So because it's coming from the president's office, that could be classified because it's coming from the Oval Office. Now, what it said, the content of it, it may be mundane. It may not be anything that's super secretive or super, classified. It's classified because of where it comes from. But if you're her political enemy, you're not going to say that, oh, it was just the president talking about lunch. What you're going to say, if you're her political enemy, because you know it emboldens and strengthens you in your position, you're going to say, oh, she even sent over her personal servers compromised classified information coming from the White House.
Right.
And if she did it for this, she can do it for that. So they just try to blow everything up. And
And
that's what they do. But she keeps giving them ammunition, which I'm really disappointed in.
And it's not classified in the sense, folks, where you watch a movie and there's big classified stamped on the folder at the top of the page. Some of these memos and some of this information had a C in parentheses at the bottom portion of the page. So, there's different levels of confidentiality. But, she made some mistakes clearly, but I don't think we should hang her for it.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the reasons why they no, and I doubt if they hang her for it, although some people.
I'm saying the
probably
Republican
want to.
Party
Yeah.
is going to try to hang her for it.
So one of the reasons why this is such a big deal is that this is not happening in a vacuum. For one, it's terrible timing because we already spoke about the elections. For two, there was some other information that came out this week, as Woody alluded to, which was the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, which does fantastic work. But this one really, it's like these women, Uma Abedin and Hillary Clinton, things, because of the men in their life, they have to take a whole lot of heat. So this one is regards to former President Bill Clinton. So former President Bill Clinton, one of his closest aides when he was the president and serving in the White House, one of his closest aides during those times went on to become like his manager after he was out of office to help him, get speaking gigs, pay speaking gigs, appearance fees, and things of that sort. But this same person was also charged with trying to get big donations for the Clinton Global Initiative. So he would kind of solicit funds for CGI, like from Coca-Cola and from Dow Chemical, and he would have these different companies contribute to Clinton Global Initiative. And then he'll also say, we can get the former president, to come and speak at this conference on your behalf for a certain amount of money and things as well. And so it just looks like I was saying earlier, like they are opportunists, wherein he would, go and try to do something for a worthy cause, which is the foundation, and then try to enrich himself on the side. Now, the two were separate, but because it's coming from the same person, because the same person that was asking for money for the foundation is the same person that would try to book his boss for a speaking gig, that just for appearance's sake is not right. So obviously both were separate. I'm sure the books and the ledgers are all separate, but just the fact that that person had dual roles, that in itself lends towards this appearance of impropriety. And it's the appearance that's the problem. It's the appearance that's the
And
problem.
then you got Trump blowing it up and really focusing on it and
that's
repeating
why
it again and again.
and that's why I'm upset that the Clintons allow this to happen, because they should know that they have such strong enemies that anything they do is going to be blown up. So obviously,
well, I mean, listen,
all former presidents get paid for speaking gigs.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
that's what they do. That's how they make money after their office.
So the difference here is
After their term.
the fact that they weren't forward thinking enough and understand that Chelsea Clinton actually came in and then she kind of straightened out the organization of it. But they weren't forward thinking enough to say that maybe the same person that's trying to solicit funds for the global initiative should not also be the same person that's trying to book dad for a speaking gig at this certain company's retreat. But these are things that, as smart as they are, they should understand just appearances.
Well, listen, you again, I mean, when you're under the microscope, things like this get exposed. But if you look at how many mistakes they could have made, being the leader of the free world and the first lady, they're going to make some mistakes, and you're going to find mistakes. I mean, if you look under the hood of every elected official, you're going to find something. But fortunately, I just don't think it's anything nefarious.
Trump it may not be nefarious, but it's
Trump
dumb.
just keeps pounding on the issue and then changing the mindset of folks.
I agree. I don't think it's nefarious. It's just irresponsible and it's reckless, and that's important. And again, I am the same way. If this were George W. Bush doing the same thing, I would have the same sort of reaction, because again, we are not sheep. We call out what is, and I don't make light of stuff that's not to be made light of, and I don't make heavy of stuff that should be made heavy of. I just say it like it is, and the way it is that if we were all not, and I'm a Democrat, but I'm a free-thinking Democrat. Nobody just has me just because they have a D in front of their names. The thing is that, but in this regards, smart people like the Clintons should know better than to allow for this particular thing to thwart them, because when they do stuff like this, when stuff like this comes out, it makes it that much more probable that we can get an idiot like Donald Trump in the White House. So the key is this, is that if we keep them under scrutiny and keep our watchful eye on them during the entire time, all of this is going to do for all of us, I'm telling you, remember this, it's going to make us miss President Obama that much more. It's going to make us miss this man him look that much more.
Like a hero, which he already is in my mind.
Yeah, he is in my mind too. And even though, like I said, he may not have done everything, but once certain decisions get to the point of presidents, then they are all going to be difficult decisions. I remember President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, who's a true superstar. I remember her saying
60% approval rating.
Yeah. I remember her saying something to the effect that if a decision gets to the president's desk, then it's automatically going to be a very complex and difficult decision, because if it was easy to make, it wouldn't make it all the way to his desk. Right. So that means whatever decision that comes to him, there's automatically going to be baked into the cake a bunch of people that don't like that decision that he's going to make. One way or the other, he's going to have built-in resistance on one side or the other based on whatever decision it is.
I wonder if there's ever been one policy that the president made that the whole country liked, like a 90% approval rating.
I have no clue.
But you know what really saddens me is that the CGI, the Clinton Global Initiative, is a foundation that does excellent work and always has. It saved lives. HIV positive folks they've been able to get medicine free because of the money they've raised to fight against AIDS and HIV. And it's all being thrown under the microscope as if it is some type of illegal organization that's washing money, embezzling money, or however you want to look at it. And and it's because of Trump's position he makes it look like it's a bad organization, which it is not. And if you research it and look to see what they've done and what they've been able to accomplish around the world, folks, it's just a shame that you can have one guy kind of poison the water.
No, I think what it is, I think that even Trump, he even understands that this is not that
they were
work
friends
that
before they were running.
Yeah, with the fact that the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Foundation does great work. I think the way that he's been trying to muddy the waters is that he's been saying that the Clintons use the foundation to make themselves rich, and that's the issue. Whether or not the Clintons use the foundation to make themselves rich, which is not the case. Because if that were the case, it would be glaring. Now, do they use it to kind of spread the influence? And then once things got really complicated, once Hillary got into office as Secretary of State, that's when things really got hairy, and that's when they really started licking their chops to see whether or not there was any impropriety, which is proven that there was none. So that's the issue. It's whether or not anyone looking up the Clinton Global Initiative can see that they do great work. They do great work, and there's other foreign governments that can vouch for the fact of the work they do. And that's not where the issue is. The issue is whether or not they've used it to enrich themselves, and I do not think that they have, or at least there's no evidence that they have.
And that's the sad part about it, is that Trump is shining a bad light on this global initiative.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. It saddens me because they do great work around the world. And whatever his motivation is, whatever angle he comes from, it's just not cool. It's
perception, sometimes to some people, perception is reality. I did some work in public life when I used to work closely with government officials in the state of Kansas. And I remember, like, whenever we traveled, we had to fly, coach. There was no flying first class or business class because we were dealing with taxpayer money. Whenever we had rented a car, we couldn't rent anything too extravagant because we're dealing with taxpayer money. Whenever we got a hotel room, we couldn't get suites and stuff like that because we were dealing with taxpayer money, and we had to be cognizant and aware that the perception means a lot. And so in regards to stuff at this level, public officials need to understand the perception of the things they do. It may not be the actual reality that something has gone awry or something dangerous or crooked is going on, but the perception is always, it needs to be taken into account. So that's why I'm glad that Chelsea Clinton, which has probably happened too late, that's why she said they needed to change up the organization of how the Clinton Global Initiative, the foundation, was set up, wherein the same guy that was soliciting funds from companies would be the same guy trying to book their dad for paid speaking fees, because all the enemies and all the people with partial information or just disinformation, they would clump together the two to think the two were somehow in cahoots with the other, or they would come up with this narrative based on all these other things that they perceive of in regards to the Clintons. So these are all things to think about. Hey, before we go further, I want to first off give a shout out to Adam. Every week, and I'm going to continue to do this until Adam texts me or his dad texts me and tells me that he has found a match for the bone marrow transplant that he is in need of. Hope for Adam. Join.hopeforadam.com. Over 20 million people worldwide have tested their bone marrow to see if they're a match for Adam, and he's actually been able to save lives of other people in need of bone marrow by this simple drive alone. So even though you may not be a match for Adam, perhaps you could be a match for someone else out there. I didn't know how serious this was until this inflicted, a friend of mine and became part of my life. Adam's a wonderful, wonderful friend. His family is excellent. His dad is one of my closest friends. And this is important. Go to join.hopeforadam.com. It's been picked up worldwide. Again, I say over 20 million people have registered, all because of Adam's effort. So he deserves it. So let's go ahead and see whether or not we can find a match for Adam. And this is a global effort. Anderson Cooper at CNN has tweeted it out. Kim Kardashian has tweeted it out. It's big time. But all we need is one. So please go out, get tested. It's a simple cotton swab. And Adam, we're with you, brother. We're with you. So
get well soon, Adam.
Get well. That's right. So back to we got to talk about before I go to President Obama really quick. That's a video I want to play. Remember, everyone remember this, and you will always hear this from me. Now, obviously, our show and my brother to the left of me, he's straight Democrat down the line. And he is, which is fine, and I'm a Democrat too. But I've worked for Republicans as well, but I'm a Democrat. But none of us, neither he or I, are, again, sheep, and none of our listeners, because we want a free-thinking public, and I do really believe that absolute power absolutely corrupts. So we have just a one-party system, and we all vote Democrat, not take into account what they do just because they're Democrat, we're going to vote for them, then we're going to find ourselves in a world of hurt. So we need each party to keep the other one honest. Right now, Republicans are screwed up. So what they need to do is fix their side of the aisle, and then things can be on parity, and then we'll have things and ideas and policies to compare
They need
with.
to start over.
Yeah, something like that. So all that being said, here is a video, because I always make fun of the right and how silly some of their thoughts are. And this is coming from the left, just to show you that I'm balanced. Jarvis, play that for me.
Hey, bad news for those who are covered by Obamacare. Premiums are going up next year by an average of 25%. The reasons why this is happening are too complicated to get into, but here's the gist. If you hate Obama, this is his fault, and if you like him, it's not his fault at all. But that's how it goes. The way people react to a story largely depends on how the story is presented and what they already think. So this afternoon, we went on the street and we made it seem like higher premiums. Premiums, a good word most of the time, so we made it seem like higher premiums were a good thing. And this is how people took it in our first ever edition of Positive Spin.
Good news today about Obamacare. Premiums will be increasing by 25%. That's double digits. Are you psyched?
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. Did you think Obama could pull it off?
I think Obama does a pretty good job. I believe in him.
Thanks to President Obama, premiums will increase by double digits. Isn't that great?
Yes.
Yeah, Obama promised to raise the premiums, and he did it. Do you want to thank him, or?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Obama.
For raising our premiums.
For raising our premiums and Obamacare.
Do you feel like you finally have the high premiums that you deserve?
Yeah, definitely. Or at least my parents do.
Yeah. What are they going to do with all of that extra premium money that they're paying?
I don't know. Buy stuff?
Great. And just for the people at home, could you explain real quick what healthcare premiums are and why it's great that they're increasing?
They're just, healthcare stuff that are premium, and they're going up because it's better to go higher than to go lower.
Do you think this will go down as one of President Obama's greatest contributions to this country, raising those premiums double digits?
Yeah, I think he's going to go out with a bang, I think he's done a lot, but the way he's going now is going to be the best, a gangster.
Double digits are pretty gangster.
Yeah, they are.
Would triple digits be even more gangster?
More gangster, even the more the better.
Quadruple digits?
Yes.
How high would you like to see premiums go, ideally?
5 digits.
Are your friends and family excited to be finally spending more premium money?
I wouldn't say psyched. It's just a thing. It's like we talk about it. It's in the air. It's never really like a set thing that I feel like all of my friends and me are talking about or something like that, which it probably should be, but it's not.
It's almost like you guys don't even understand it at all.
Yeah. Most likely, yeah.
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 So that makes a huge point for me. Okay. The point is that people are misinformed. And so even with this, and this is making fun of who I think is one of the best presidents in modern history, President Obama, but not everything goes right all the time. And the fact that we need to be able to recognize that and find ways to improve it. But in order to improve it, you got to know what's going on. This is the perfect example of a disengaged or ill-informed or disinformed public. We need to get a little smarter so we understand what's going on.
A lot smarter.
So, oh my
than
God,
those folks.
So now you have people. Now this is what I mean, that we are not, and the people that listen to the show are not this. We are not blind sheep that follow people just for the sake of following because we like their personality or this and the other. We follow people that have our best interests at heart when they're in public office, because that's the key. You have to have our best interests and have policies that are going to help us. Now, also, so we can just feed into this a little bit more, we knew if people read it. I read a Forbes magazine article back in December of 2015 that said that this was going to be the time where the Obamacare premiums would go up. Now, we hear about it in the news last week, and we think it's a new thing that they never saw coming. They spoke about this last year or 2 years ago. And the reason why they spoke about this then is because they needed to have a full calendar year or something like that for the plan to be implemented before certain things start dropping off and before triggers certain other things. And so during this time, during this window, the premiums were going to go up.
So this was forecasted.
This was forecasted months, it's not years ago. We knew this was going to happen, but because we don't read anything, and we have a society and a culture that's a very much so a short-term thinking culture, then now all of a sudden this is brand new news that was never anticipated by the administration. And let me put a little extra on it for you.
Yeah, put a little spin on it.
As the premiums are going up, which we hear about in the news and all over, and people say, oh my God, Obamacare premium, what's also happening is the subsidies are going up too.
Right.
So the subsidies that are going to offset these premiums, those are going up as well. Why are they going up? It's because they anticipated these premiums going up back then. So again, people, it's up to us. Nobody's going to do it for us. Whatever benefits the shock value of a newspaper headline, whatever helps to boost ratings, that's what's going to lead. And it's going to be a capturing headline that can get your attention. And if all you read is the headline, then you're going to walk away thinking that that headline is all of the story.
Right. You're going to think it's doomsday.
What do you think about that, Woody?
You're absolutely right, man. You got to read, folks. You got to read between the lines. You got to understand what's going on. You can't just take, Jimmy Kimmel News and run with it. You just have to stay informed. That's why you have to listen to this show every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, right? Focus with Ron Frieson, because you'll get some information. I mean, I think that's what it is. That's the way it is with a lot of issues in this pertaining to this race as well. I mean, you have Donald Trump spreading all of these lies, and they don't even fact check anymore. They just shake their heads like, where is he getting this from? I mean, folks, just be aware of what's going on. Don't listen to your friends. Don't let someone tell you the information.
And read
do your
up.
own research.
Yeah, read.
And
And my brother Woody always gets on me about me going down the history thing, but that's very important because.
That's because you don't come back.
Yeah, I do come back. I'm always coming back, man. That's why I have premature gray hair, because I stay in the past and present at the same time. So all this, the reason why that's important, I bring up history, is because it's true that if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. And there's so many things that happen, that these types of trends and these steps have happened in the past. And if we don't see it and we keep continuing, because human nature for the most part hasn't changed since evolution. Human nature is human nature. One of the whether or not it's defensiveness, in defense of who you are and protecting yours, whether or not it's the self, or what's the word I'm looking for, self-preservation. These are all human instincts, all anxiety, these are all human instincts. The times may change, but human beings for the most part are the same. So depending on the mechanisms and what's going on that given point in history, then humans interact in many ways similar to they act the same ways they would these days. So all of these things go together. So in regards to Obamacare, it's unpopular right now. It makes sense. But remember, every social program, it's been 100 years. Why has it been 100 years since we were able to enact this? It was because it was going to be difficult. It means that when it was first implemented, there was going to be some pain involved. This is what was anticipated. And even in short-term history, like I said, it's been a year or two wherein they even anticipated these premiums going up. So they're almost on target of what they said they were going to go up before they go down. I think it's going to be going up like this for the next couple of years. And then things are going to have to work in, and then they're going to have to roll up their sleeves and actually do some things to help fix certain parts of it so the program works.
And if they'd done this years ago, then we wouldn't be here where we are
today. If they did it years ago, maybe it would still be the same, because there's certain market conditions. But what will happen is that the public would be aware, and the subsidies and all these kind of things, they will be in line, so that the public would be more willing to absorb it and understand what's going on, as opposed to latching onto a partially a partial headline based on partial information, based on some sort of political slant.
Well, it couldn't
That's
be
what
that
it is.
bad because 4 million enrollees are expected to sign up for Obamacare this year. So
Yeah, but the
enrollees
thing
here.
is, but the key is that the people that pay for private insurance and the small business and things of that sort. If you didn't have insurance at all, you cool with
This is
Obamacare,
good, right? You love it,
You know,
and that's the
so-
plan. That's why
exactly.
Obamacare was put in office. And if we have to make a sacrifice, I have insurance. I'm a small business owner. It doesn't. Obamacare doesn't work for me. But those who never had health insurance, and you got to remember, folks, it's for those folks. It's for the ones that had no access to health care. It's the folks that are on welfare or in inner city or just we know people. All of us have someone in our family in a position to where they're struggling, and for those people, that's what the healthcare plan is all about.
No,
And if we
actually,
have to-
it's because we have it's not Medicare. It's not Medicaid. Maybe it's Medicaid.
Medicare?
No,
Medicaid?
Medicaid. Maybe Medicaid. We have health care for the very poor. They get it's an indigent type of care. They get that. We have health care. Obviously, the people who get health care through their employer and people of financial means, they have health care as well because they're able to afford it. So we deal with the very poor through Medicaid and some other programs, and obviously the very rich and the people that get their health care through the jobs that get theirs. But it's the middle. It's the small business owner and those people that fall in the middle that don't fall into the category of being completely destitute and poor. And the people that are working class or small business, those are the ones that basically need Obamacare. It's them. So because of that donut hole, which is completely growing because the middle class is shrinking, there's fewer people controlling most of the money. And even in healthcare within businesses today, many companies may not offer healthcare the way they used to in the past. So it's that donut hole there that's really being affected. So all that being said, again, 100 years. It's been 100 years. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt, a Republican, bull moose Republican, who came out to saying that we needed a universal or national healthcare system like all of the other civilized countries in the world. Now, we needed this back then when our population in our country was not nearly what it is now. Now we're getting to a point now where we're over 330 million people in our country. We have slower birth rates. People are living longer. So since people are living longer, that means that their pressure that they're putting on the healthcare system is going to happen. It's going to be a lot more intense than what it was back in the 1940s and 50s. So the cost of healthcare was rising and rising and rising and rising. And because of that, the amount of our GDP that was going towards healthcare was unsustainable. So because of this, economics dictated we do something. It wasn't just President Obama trying to, out of the goodness of his heart. Economics and financial health of our country dictated that something needs to be done about this. It just so happened that he saw this opportunity because of the wave of support that he got when he was in office, because of the historical precedent that comes along with establishing the national health care system in its infancy, however ugly it would be on the front side. And most learned people and educated in this specific industry, in this specific field, they understand how difficult this was going to be. Again, if it weren't difficult, it would have happened a long time ago. But he got it through. In its ugliest shape or form, he was able to push it through. Now we're going to have to fix it. We're going to have to work around the edges with Congress and fix it so that it can develop into what we need for it to be. Because it's not that now. I will admit it's not that now. But we can get it there. I just dropped the mic.
You did. You dropped the mic.
Yeah. Oh, let me Javago watches. Come on, Jarvis. Pull up the graphics for Javago. Javago watches are premium watch brands in men's and women's fashions. Go to JavagoWatches.com, www.JavagoWatches.com. Pick out an assortment and an array of great, excellent timepieces, high-quality timepieces, and look at the different bands. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I was looking at the different bands and stuff they had on the screen. That's pretty cool. They have these new, acrylic bands. It's fantastic. Go there, check out these watches. holiday season is coming up, and you could do a whole lot worse. If you want to really, really get on her good side, get her a Zhivago watch. If you want to last another 6 months, ladies, get him a Zhivago watch. So that gives you a contract extension. So anyway, so Zhivago watches, www.zhivagowatches.com. Also, if you go to Amazon, you can actually get a discount. Choose the style that you like. Go to Amazon, get the discount, and you will be glad you got this watch. They're fantastic. Zhivago watches.
Zhivago.
And with the limited amount of time we have left, I want to go ahead and also give a shout out to Nanobright. Nanobright is skin cream. It's vitamins for your skin. It's a proprietary blend of vitamin C, vitamin B12, I believe, or B3 vitamins and minerals, and it's excellent for olive and darker skin. It helps almost eliminate hyperpigmentation, sunspots. It's fantastic. You guys ought to get it. It'll make you look younger. Like Woody always says, I was 12 degrees. I said 10 degrees. I was 10 degrees of
12,
ugly.
12.
I was 12 degrees of ugly. Now I'm down to 4. And we're going to get Woody on this so he can break down off that 20. So, so guys, again, Nanobright. Go to nanobright.com. That's NANOBRYTE.com. Use the promo code SKIN, and you'll get $10 off. And I do recommend you get 2 bottles because the bottles are pretty small and they're effective. And once you see they start working on you, then you wish you had another bottle right away so you won't stop the regimen, which is basically 2 doses a day. Okay? So thank you again. So, hey, listen, before we close out, I wanted to bring up one last little piece about what we spoke about. Okay, I have it written down here. Oh, okay. It was basically what we were talking about the entire night. And that's the one thing about us not being sheep. And this is huge for me, and this is huge for all, because too many of us are sheep. Too many of us are moved by whether or not a person has a lot of Twitter followers, or we're caught up in celebrity, or we're caught up in some superficial things that really don't mean as much to our emotional, spiritual, physical, financial well-being, because we're caught up in something that really doesn't matter. And on our show, Woody and I speak about this, and our producer, Jarvis, we speak about it as well, is how we want for you to have fun at this show, and we also want you to think. We want you to hopefully be motivated to learn a little bit more on your own in regards to the things going on around you, and not just take our words for it, because we don't know everything, but we study and we know what's going on, and we want for you to study as well. Now, how you interpret what you study, that's on you. We are not privy to our own facts. Facts are facts. We're privy to our opinions, but not to our own facts. So what we do and what we appreciate in our show is that the commentary that we get smart commentary from smart people, and we want it to continue to be that way. So if you guys have any sort of things you want to reach out to me about in regards to questions or comments on the show, feel free to shoot me off an email, or you can inbox me on Facebook, because we get a lot of Facebook streams as well, or email me. I think my email address is given at the bottom of the screen at ronnie.frierson@gmail.com. And give me your thoughts, and let me know what you think about the show. Let me know if you have any particular comments, and also keep them. I listen to everyone, and keep them classy. Keep them classy, because I control with the best of them. Trust me. And so keep them classy, and I promise you, whatever view you have on the issues, you will be respected, and I guarantee you that. I may disagree with you, but you will be respected. That respect will be reciprocated, however. Okay? You want to close us out with anything, Woody?
Well, real quick, how much time do we have, Jarvis? 2 minutes? Okay, so, I just got back from D.C., and I was on my way downtown, and I was crossing this bridge, and it was policemen everywhere, and a motorcycle police officer came over to me and knocked on the window. And I don't know if you heard about this news, but apparently terrorists had held down had some congressmen hostage.
Really?
Yeah, and they threatened to they douse gasoline all over the congressman and light him on fire.
When was this?
This was last week. So that's for the police officers knocking on my window, asking. They're trying to get donations because they're trying to hold them for ransom. And he knocks on my window and says, "Hey," yeah. I said, "Well, what is everyone else donating?" He said, "Oh, about a gallon."
I knew it was something. I knew it was something corny coming. But that's the joke of the day.
Have a good weekend, folks.
Woody gave that so much thought and effort, brother.
Hey, man, I just rolled it off the dice.
That was good, though. That was good, Woody.
Was that 2 minutes? Did I use up all the time?
He used it all the time.
Cool.
That Cracker Jack box.
That was hilarious.
It had some moments.
Yeah.
When you end it. All right, guys. Thank you for starting your weekend with us. We always appreciate having you, and we'll see you next week on Focus with Ron Frieson. Signing off.